Morning guys, hello and welcome back to another PPTV episode. It's me, Beth, your host, and I have the fantastic Dan Eaton with me today. Hi Dan.
Hello everyone.
So I'm really excited to have you as my guest today. So we're actually going to show a clip very shortly of how you won VIP of the Year last year, 2018. Yes. Which is a pretty spectacular moment. So what we're going to do is the team are just going to snip that in right now just so we can take a look back on your last bit of the journey with us.
Okay, excellent.
The winner of VIP, the greatest of all accolades ever, for 2018, the VIP Member of the Year is Dan Eaton!
That was a pretty fantastic moment, I think, for yourself, and to win that award and come away from it wasn't even a year you had been on the programme at that point.
It was like the 11th month.
That was the 11th month.
The 11th month, yeah.
To win VIP of the Year, like, that's pretty spectacular.
It was pretty. I was still, I'm kind of gobsmacked to know that actually my name was called out at that point. And
Were you not expecting it?
No, not at all. No, not at all. And then to be called out as in the two finalists, if you like, and then to be called out as the winner was absolutely amazing. I still can't believe it. People say I had a really good face when I did it. I don't know what it looked like, but maybe we'll see. When we see the clip back about my face from that one. But,
that's brilliant. So whereabouts are you right now in property? And then we'll take it back to when you first met Progressive.
Yeah, absolutely. So currently I'm running a number of companies, different companies for different things. We tend to have a service accommodation arm, which has 21 units running, a mixture of rent to SAs, commercial leases and management for others. I have a company that's working on a 6-build new housing development with a number of other investors and developers. And we have 2 commercial conversions going through. The latest one's being valued today, so hopefully this afternoon we'll have some really good value, good news about the values. But they will be commercial conversions which will be converted into service accommodation, a 7-flat scheme and a 12-flat scheme.
So very busy.
Pretty busy, yeah.
So very busy.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, I mean, that's incredible. And when you did join VIP, obviously, you didn't know much about property we were discussing. So to come that far in such a short amount of time, like, does it take you a moment, like when you look back at where you started, are you a bit taken aback?
Absolutely, and it's probably something that I don't think myself is guilty of definitely doing, and I think a lot of people aren't. They don't look back at what they've achieved that often. They just kind of see the stuff they're in. So when you ask me about that now, I'm kind of thinking, well, at the moment, I'm just in all this stuff. I don't really think about what I've kind of achieved, and I should probably do more often, absolutely. But yeah, it's been a bit of a crazy journey, considering, I think in September 2017, when I first met Progressive, at September 2017 was I went to a Masopi, my good friend Craig Phillips suggested that I come along to that, and I did. I went along to that and I thought, well, this is brilliant. I didn't realise this kind of world existed. I didn't realise you could do this sort of stuff. So that was my introduction to Progressive, and that was September. Then in October I did the masterclass. November I did the service accommodation, went live with the service accommodation stuff, and then started my VIP in January. So it's been crazy.
That was a very quick fast track then.
Yeah, I'm not known for being very patient.
No. Were you all in then?
I'm laughing at the back looking at this.
After that MSOPI, were you like, I'm all in? Like.
Yeah, because it made perfect sense to me. It made sense that these things could be done and were happening, and therefore, if the people who were telling me about them could do them, then surely I could have a go as well. So I thought I'd have a go. And it does, and it turns out it's not necessarily about the person so much, it's just the system that you just follow. So as long as you do the steps, then when you heard about it, because obviously you just said there like how all in you are, you're very impatient, did you feel like you wanted to catch up because you didn't know about this sooner? There's definitely an element to that. And when we talk to lots of people, and I certainly the same, I wish I'd done this years ago, is one of those things. But I don't think it's one of those things that you can regret not doing, because if you didn't know about it, how could you possibly regret it? But definitely, it would have been beneficial to start earlier in life, and I think a lot of people come to the same sort of conclusion, absolutely.
So when you started hearing about all these property strategies then, what was it about SA that kind of drew you in? Because SA is becoming more and more popular as we're seeing, but normally it's not a strategy that most people go for.
It was 2 things really. So one, I still am in the corporate world actually, but I'll come on to that in a minute. in the corporate world, I travelled around and I stayed in serviced accommodation units. I just didn't know that's what they were. So from that side of things, I could see the demand for it because I knew about the demand for it because I'd used it.
Yeah, you were a consumer yourself.
I was a consumer, absolutely. So I could understand how that worked. The second thing was I wanted to do something in my local area. Now, I live in Cheltenham, and Cheltenham's a lovely spa town, but capital values are quite high.
Yes.
So doing any of the other sort of strategies, I didn't think, because I didn't have any money to invest in property, although we can come on to that in a minute because you don't actually need money, and we can look at that. But I didn't have any money, so I didn't think I could do the sort of buy-to-let type strategies. HMOs were not something I was interested in doing because when we set our business up, we thought we'd like to do something that we would like to live in ourselves.
Okay.
And having spent a lot of time in the military and living in what was HMOs in that sense, it's absolutely fine. But when you have 2 children, it's a bit hard to do it. So we said, well, we can't do HMOs because we can't live in them. Therefore, that doesn't fit. Therefore, we won't do it. And then it basically, we looked at those 2 things. It sort of came down to, well, serviced accommodation looks like it might work. Let's give that a go.
Okay, and you mentioned there about the finance side of it, because obviously you did mention about rent to SAs a little second ago as well.
Yes.
So because a lot of people in the community, they all do feel that of, how can I get involved? I don't have the money, I'm still trying to learn myself. What was that like for you, going out there and finding funding?
So it was definitely a real struggle. It was definitely a blocker for me personally, because it's not something I'd ever done before. And it's not the sort of thing that you grow up thinking you can do, And we talk a lot, obviously, about the education system and all that sort of, the mentality and the mindset that we grow up with. And I was exactly the same as everyone else. So I didn't think you could go and borrow money or ask for money. And just flipping that slightly and going, well, I'm not really borrowing or asking for money. I'm asking someone who's got some money who has a different problem to me if we would like to work together to solve both problems. And when you start thinking of it in those terms, it really changes the way that you approach that, and it really changes the way that the money sort of starts to flow towards you rather than away from you. So we did all ours with rent to SA, or we did a commercial lease on a block, because we didn't have any money to go and buy anything or put deposits down or even really in some cases put a lot of the furniture in. So.
Yeah. So it's a big mindset shift then, because a lot of people, myself included, when people start going, well, just ask people for the money.
Yeah.
It's like, what? You can't ask people for money.
You can't do that, yeah.
Which I think is crazy, especially in the world of progressive. Like, it's such a simple thing. Like, well, they have it, you don't.
Yep.
Like, let's work together. And I think that is a big mindset shift for people who are especially starting out in property, of not only are they changing their entire view of what property is and how to get involved in property, they're also changing their money mindset as well.
It is a massive thing, absolutely, yeah.
So you mentioned you're also in the corporate world still.
Yes, so I still currently, as it stands today, have a full-time job in the corporate world.
Okay.
But I have put my notice in and I'm serving my notice period and I'm leaving the corporate world. As I like to put it, I'm retiring from the corporate world on the 26th of July. Now, my wife is amazing and very balanced. So I mentioned I'm quite impatient, but I'm also, quite want to just go and do it and and it will work and it'll be fine. She's a little bit the opposite. So we have a really good balance. So I would have probably left about 2 years ago if I was allowed. But the cost of leaving would probably be divorce. So we decided that wasn't going to be a good idea. So I'm now leaving the corporate world, but I'm going to keep some freelance work, maybe 1 or 2 days a week, just to keep that.
And what is it that you do, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, I'm a project manager.
Oh, okay.
So I work in the corporate world as project management. I tend to manage teams in commercial sectors rather than actually doing project management. But IT more than I'm not a builder.
You're not there on your sites.
No. Well, I've got a hard hat now for one of our sites. So one of our project managers got me a hard hat. So Ben, business partner, so it was brilliant.
So I do think it's quite nice that you are still in the corporate world. I know you've said that you're handing in your notice, but you've stayed in longer than probably what most people would have.
Yeah.
Because they see property of, no, I've got to get out of it. I've got to get out as soon as I can. But it's quite nice that you've taken the time, and I know it was more your other half that said it, but you took that time to be like, well, no, let's work up to it. Let's get this side sorted first, and then I can make the leap.
Absolutely. I mean, I did a wobble probably about a year ago. I was like, I want to leave.
Yeah.
Banging the fist and I want to leave. Which obviously is not really helpful for anything.
No.
Particularly one's mental state. So I had to have a real kind of word myself, and I reached out to the community and some fantastic people who helped me out with that in terms of a mindset shift. And actually, having a job in the corporate world, because my wife's at work full time, so she does the SA side of things full time, so that covers that. But when you're doing rent to SAs, if you want to rent an SA unit, sometimes having a salary is a really good thing, so then you can be referenced.
Okay.
So it helps with the deposits and the referencing side of things for taking on SA units. So that was a really good use of my corporate income, even though I was there and banging my fist on the desk saying I want to leave. So I think I would say with that is don't be necessarily in a rush to leave. You know, plan it out, do it in a stage controlled way. And my wife talking in the background here, thinking about managing the risk of it as well.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to go all in with everything, if that includes your house, your kids. And all the rest
Your
of
marriage.
It. Marriage particularly, I should put on first, shouldn't I? Yeah, absolutely. So it's a staged approach to leaving,
Did you find the balance quite easy, or was it quite a struggle at times?
Oh, I had massive struggles with it. Yeah, I had massive struggles. Not to the stage where I wouldn't get out of bed in the morning, because I can't not do that. I have to get up and get going. But yeah, massive struggles in literally sat at work going, this is a waste of my time. I could be doing so much more. But yeah, I had to really kind of mentally sort myself out with that one.
But I think that's like a good skill as well, and I'm sure those experiences you can now draw on even more, like in the property world, with balance, especially with projects and everything like that. I think it all does lend itself to experiences that you can draw on in the future.
It does, absolutely. And if I look back now to that time, which seems a long time ago, but actually was probably less than a year ago, from where then to now, it's not actually that long, and I've managed to put up with it. It hasn't really done any damage. so yeah, I think don't be in a rush. I think that's
So how was it? Because obviously, like you said, it all happened in such a short space of time, like just over a year.
Yeah.
That is phenomenal. And I know when we were speaking just before this, you were saying, I've got another 40 units on the way, as if like that's just how it is now. And I think when you started, like it's hard, like you said, to imagine just one unit. So I think it's amazing to see how your thinking changes. Like you just adapt to the situation, don't you?
You do. You do genuinely grow with these things, And the conversation there was for the audience. We're looking at potentially another sort of 40 units in the pipeline, various different investors, various different parts of the country. Because we've got the systems in place to do that now. We can handle that, and it becomes almost a norm that it's just a thing that you do and plug it into the system. Yeah. But when you're starting out, getting that first one sorted and, getting even things like getting the keys cut, so get the keys in the right, it's just a real big problem. But you do that and then you've solved that and then you grow on to the next problem, which might be a fire alarm going off or, the guests have locked themselves out or whatever it might be. And you just grow and you sort of find yourself fixing bigger problems. And I really like that actually, because there is a saying out there somewhere, I don't know whose it is, but if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah, I've heard that one as well.
I quite like that. It resonates with me. So you've got to keep pushing forward with stuff.
How important would you say those systems are? Because obviously, especially with SA.
Massively. You talk about what I've achieved, and if you look back, there's quite a lot. But I haven't done it all on my own. I've done it with business partners, and I've done it with systems. I've done it with leverage. And I think that's the only way you can do it. So from the SA side of things, putting those systems in place is absolutely paramount. There are people out there who are trying to run 5 or 6 units, on a spreadsheet, which may work for them, but they could achieve so much more if they put some systems in. Definitely.
Did you find it easy letting go of control as you grew? Because obviously to grow so quickly, you have to start delegating and leveraging. Yeah. How was that experience for you?
I think that's probably one thing that I've been okay with. Yeah. And I probably put it back to the military background. So we did a lot of leadership training in the military, and I was running teams quite a lot. So having a task to do, finding the team to do it, and then just letting them get on with it because they know more about it than I do, I can do that. So I've just applied that in here. So I don't know how to build buildings, but I know Ben does. So Ben is building the buildings. So just finding the teams and pulling them all together is definitely the way forward. Yeah.
For anyone who might be struggling with that, what advice could you give them? Because I know that is a big stepping stone that a lot of people do find when they're trying to grow.
I think it is, yeah. So if you are trying to grow and you are stuck, I think if you just took a step back and had a look why you were stuck, you would probably find that it is you that's holding things back. Okay. So if you just look at that and go, right, I need to do this thing, whatever this thing is, but I can't find the right person to do it. If you can't find the right person to do it, chances are you're not looking correctly because you haven't in your mind decided that someone else could do that. Now, they might not do it your way. They might not do it how you want them to do it. They might make some mistakes the first, second, third, maybe even the fifth time they do it. But if you let them get on with it, they will do it because they can take ownership of it. And it's empowerment at the end of the day. If you empower someone to do something, they will do it a lot better than if you just kind of stood over them and kind of dictate how they should do it.
I think that's really good advice. I think a lot of people, they do struggle where they're like, no, I have to do everything myself, especially if they've started out on their own. They then find it difficult to be like, well, no, this is the way I've always done it.
Yeah.
And like just trying to be like, okay, no, it's okay.
There's two ways of thinking, because some people think, well, if I do it myself first, I know how to do it, and then I can get someone else to do it.
Yeah.
And that kind of works on a certain level. But I've never built a building before.
No.
And I'm not going to start building one to figure out how to do it, to then employ a builder who knows how to build a building to build it. It
doesn't work.
It doesn't work,
no.
Whereas, the first time, so the guest communications aspect of our essay, we did all that to start with.
Yeah.
We got it all laid out, and then we gave someone else to do it. So there's levels with it. But I'm pretty sure if I'd have said to our VAs in the first place, this is the problem space, how could you come up with something? They would have probably come up with something that may probably be better than I'd have come up with, because that's what they do. So actually, maybe let's revisit that.
How did you find it scaling your project? So I know you mentioned about some commercial buildings a little bit earlier as well. Like, was that a steady jump, or was that like, okay, like just from the one unit to be like, okay, this project's come along, I'm just going to take it?
So probably more the latter.
Yeah.
So again, the system, the process. So I did the commercial conversion training here at Progressive, and there's a process and a system that is there.
Yeah.
So I'm just applying that system to the buildings. So the scale of them almost doesn't matter because it's just the process.
Okay.
Obviously, you need more for funds to do the bigger deals, but they're not your funds. So all our commercial conversions, and none of my money in them, because I haven't got any.
I like that. So as long as you've got the systems can be scaled.
Absolutely.
I think that's really good advice. Like, just get your systems in place and just see where the deals take you then.
Yeah, we've always got to flip and look for the risk side of it. So, just because a deal is big doesn't mean you should do it, but just because you're doing a small deal doesn't mean you can't do a bigger one.
Yeah.
So it's just that balance, absolutely. I think a lot about balance, actually.
Yeah, I'm sensing that theme from you.
Balance. Yeah.
Do you think essays is always going to be kind of where your focus is? Because that's obviously what you've known since you've been in property. Do you think that will always be your main focus?
Well, I think what we'll do is we'll pivot and change with the times.
Yeah.
So essay at the moment is great, and it'll be great for a number of years. There's lots of talk, and there's lots of, if you read any kind of forums or posts or anything, there's lots of talk about it being regulated and it all changing and crashing down House of Cards and all that sort of stuff. And in some ways, there probably is some truth that at some point in the future, something will happen with it. However, while that's in the future, I'll make hay while the sun shines and do that now.
Yeah.
So we'll always do essay until essay is no longer viable to do, and we'll always focus on doing the commercial conversions into essay. That's the sort of strategies that we're doing. Should things change, then we'll maybe look at doing the commercial conversions into standard buy-to-lets and holding them that way, or maybe just sell them.
I think that's a really good way of looking at it. I think Mark Homer actually said something very similar about Brexit. He said, we don't know what Brexit's going to do. Let's just keep acting like nothing's going to change, and we'll figure it out when it arrives.
And I think that's true. I mean, so when you're doing the bigger deals, you're using a lot of institutional corporate finance. Now, they have got obviously lots of metrics and very intelligent people looking at numbers and crunching spreadsheets. And if they're still lending at the rates that they're lending, that gives me confidence that, they know no more than I do in terms of how Brexit is going to pan out or not. So we'll just keep going with that, And then if we need to pivot, and instead of selling them, we need to hold them and rent them out. Always have a secondary exit or a third exit if you can, tertiary exit. So we try and make sure our deals will stack up as sales, as buy-to-lets, as SA, or if we have to sell them.
Just cover on all bases, because you never know what the future's going to hold.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So what does the future hold for you then? So you mentioned a bit that you think you're going in, obviously you're going to be doing more essays and everything, but do you have like a goal in mind for this year? Because obviously last year was so incredible for you. Yeah,
so this year was around having, by the end of this year, having 3 of the commercial conversions up and running and going. So we've got 2 up and running and going, so there's a third one.
Oh wow,
which is
so
looking at.
Your goal's 2/3 of the way there already.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. You just sat there like, that's how it is. And I just think it's incredible from like just over a year ago to know property to being like, yeah, two of the deals are done, one more to go. I think that's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I just think your mindset on how much it's changed as well is phenomenal. And I think a lot of people watching will be able to actually really relate, because they're like, I knew nothing about property and now look at where I am.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't really thought about it in those terms, but it literally is just a process. So
yeah.
You just follow the process, do the steps, keep doing the steps. And if nothing else, it's kind of a law of averages, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you ask 25 people for an answer, eventually you're going to get the answer you want. And that's just kind of it. So just keep looking at the deals. You know, that's the other thing I'd say actually as well, is don't be hungry to do the wrong deal.
Yeah.
Or do a deal, because there's always another one. Like waves. Someone said like waves. You know, the waves just keep coming. So you know, eventually, you know, sometimes there might be flat calm, but you guarantee there's a wave coming at some point.
Well, there's always property, there's always buildings,
Absolutely.
isn't there? They're not going anywhere.
No.
So I think you're right. Hold out for the right ones and don't try and force the deal to work for your goal.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. So there's two we're looking at the moment. One looks quite favourable, and that might be the third one that needs to go. If it's not, I'm not going to worry about doing it just so it becomes the third one.
Yeah. I think that's fantastic. Do you have any more pieces of advice that you could perhaps share with people who are watching either on Facebook now or YouTube about if maybe they are starting out? What would your advice be to them?
I'd probably say if you're starting out in property and you want to change your life and you want to do something, then the only person stopping you doing it is you. So just go and do it. Now, Progressive here is a fantastic training organisation, and I wouldn't be here without them, so it's worth plugging that, absolutely. And there's lots of courses that Progressive do that will help people depending on what they want to achieve. But if you want to do something, then you've got to almost get up and go and do it. And it doesn't have to mean you've got to work, 75 hours a day. You just got to keep doing the steps and keep going for it.
No one's going to do it for you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You have to have the passion and the drive to make it work.
Yeah, I quite like Jim Rohn's saying about if you don't like where you are now, you can change.
Yes.
You're not a tree. And I think that's just so true.
It is, and I do think people get very stuck in, no, this is what I've been told I should do. I should have the 9 to 5. I have to save for my deposit. I have to buy my own house. Can't ask people for money. Like, it is just a big shift in everything of actually, no, if you want it, you can have it.
I've got a little story about that actually, which is quite funny. So when I told my parents what I was doing, so when I told my parents I was leaving the military, they were, sorry if you're watching this, Mum, very worried.
Okay.
Very worried that I was leaving a secure job with a
Yes.
pension to go into the unknown. So much so that they actually asked my best mate to have a word with me and say I was doing the wrong thing and everything.
Okay.
That didn't work. So that's kind of where it is. And now when I tell them I'm doing property side of things and when I'm leaving my corporate world, they're kind of like, oh my gosh, are you sure you're leaving the corporate world? That's got a job for life. It's like, hang on a minute. 6 years ago you were saying I shouldn't have left the military for this job. So there's something there. Well, when I talked to my grandma, who's 93, and I took her around our SA units, she was of the mindset, was like, this is brilliant. This is exactly what you should be doing. Follow your dreams, go and do it. Amazing, love it. I was thinking, so how did we get from my grandma, who is obviously the parents to my parents, having this almost this mindset of, yes, you go out there, you go and do it, follow your dreams, brilliant, all the rest of it, to my parents, who are, no, you must stay in the corporate world and do your job and take your pay and have a good job, pension, all the rest of it. I thought, how did we get into that kind of a difference in mindsets? But I'm going with my grandma because she's older, so she must know.
Wiser.
Wiser, absolutely, yeah.
I do think it is a lot of fear, though, especially when you're thinking about leaving all these things. I can see your parents' side of you because I think a lot of people hear that from people in their social circle and they're called crazy and they're like, why would you do that? That's unknown, that's uncertain. It's like, that's what makes it exciting and actually the possibility to be anything you want. So I think stick with your grandma.
I think so as well, yeah. So she's, like I say, she's wiser. Absolutely.
That's brilliant. So where do you think you would have been without property then, without finding Progressive and this incredible journey that you've been on?
I think I wouldn't still be sat in the corporate world because I wouldn't have known any different. But I'd be sat there, probably as I was a little bit before, going, there's more to this. There's more to life than doing this thing. I just didn't know what it was. So I'd have probably still been sat there looking for whatever the next thing was. So I think if you're sat there, thinking, do you know what, there must be more to life than what I'm doing now, then the chances are the answer is yes, and the chances are you're the sort of person who's going to go and get it, so just go and do it. So yeah, I would just be still sat there. 9 to 5 in, working harder. For no more
Harder,
money.
not smarter.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for coming in today. I've really enjoyed getting to know a bit more about your journey and some of the advice and mindset shifts and more about your nan as well.
Yeah, I was a plug Nan in. I don't think she's got a Facebook account, but maybe we'll set her up with one. Dan's Nan, new channel.
Dan's Nan,
Yeah.
I would watch. But I think that's really useful, and I think the advice and everything that you've given everyone watching and anyone tuning in on the YouTube version as well, I think it's fantastic, and I think you do make your own future, and I think they should just follow the systems, like you said, make it work.
Absolutely.
It's out there.
It is, yeah. Life's what you make it, so make it a good one.
Brilliant. I love it. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I know I really enjoyed it and getting to know more about Dan and his journey. If you do have any questions for him, you can pop those in the comments and I'll tag Dan in so that he can answer anything that you want to know. But yeah, that's it from us today.
Lovely.
Thank you very much.
No problem, thank you very much.
Right, guys, I will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi YouTubers, thanks for tuning in for this edition. If you'd like more content like this, please subscribe and press the notification button.